Hi guys, and welcome back to So Sally-O. Today I'm doing more children's birthday cake ideas, and this week it is Owlette from PJ Masks, which if you have got a young child you'll probably be used to seeing. It's one of my daughter's favourite programmes. Please do subscribe to this channel if you're not already. I upload new videos every single Thursday on kids, cakes and crafts. So here we go, Owlette PJ Masks birthday cake decoration. So I did 3 10-inch vanilla sponge cakes, and then I made this buttercream. I'll put the link in the description box below to this recipe, or the standard recipe. This one I altered ever so slightly. I put in some seedless raspberry jam just to give it a little bit of flavour, and then a tiny amount of pink food colouring. So I literally just used this palette knife to put the buttercream in between every single layer, around the top, around the outside, put it on a turntable, and used this red cake board, which was £6 from eBay. I think it was so expensive because they're not normally red. And then I just used this cool smoothing tool to even it all out. Then I mixed black, red and a pale pink Renshaw icing. I added gum tragacanth to make it harder when the icing dries. I created this kind of purpley look icing. Now this is going to be for Owlette's feathers, so I just cut these out by hand, just do a really simple, straightforward feather shape. But then the key here is to lay them face down onto a rolling pin, leave them overnight so that when they dry hard and sturdy, they will be sticking out, ready to add on to the cake, and you'll see later how we do that. Don't copy what I'm doing here because this is not how you should ice a cake. I will link below in the description box a video that shows exactly how you should ice a cake, but I did this around the outside of the cake, and then I used the cake tin that I used to bake the cake to measure out the diameter of the icing I needed to put on the top. So the cake is iced. It's not the best one in the world, but it's done. Now on to making the eyes. So I just cut out 2 small pieces of red using this round cutter, and then this, I don't really know what to call this. This red shape, which will go on Owlette's head, but all will be revealed later as to exactly where that goes. And then you can see here I'm doing some really tiny white balls of icing. Make sure your hands are really clean when you're doing that, because you don't want any colouring from other things going on to that. Then I created 2 small round black pieces for the eyes, so just stick those onto the red. And then you can stick on the white balls that you made earlier, either using a bit of water or a tiny bit of edible glue, which is what I used here. Next, we're going on to do Owlette's face now. Yeah, her face that will be visible from underneath her mask. Now to create this I used Renshaw's white icing, just the standard one, and then I put in a tiny amount of the Wilton, I think it's called Ivory, here we are, ivory sort of food colouring. So I've just cut out this area of her face, which will be her nose and mouth, and then just the nose is literally just a ball of icing rolled up. Then I'm using this yellow modelling cake tool to just do an indent here for the mouth. I'll link below all of those yellow tools. And here we are doing the eyes. So I just cut out this shape by hand, put it face down on top of the icing again to create an identical shape for the other side, but you'll stick them down the other way round so that they are mirror images of each other and not exactly the same, if that makes sense. So I just smoothed these out a little bit, more edible glue, and then we're sticking on the red, black and white pieces from earlier to make them really pop. Just make sure they're in the right position. Now I am creating the pink edging, which just goes on top of Owlette's mask, really. Just make sure they are the same length, make sure the edges are sharp, even. Because they will be going into a point in the centre of her head or her mask, I did those sections at a sort of diagonal angle, so they'll fit in nicely together. These just finish off the mask nicely and just make it pop. Again, this is just, I think it's called baby pink. Then I created this little nose type shape from this pale flesh colour that I created. And now here we are. I'm just doing Owlette's mask by hand. I had the iPad, I think, nearby, which just had a picture of Owlette on it. Or you can get a picture from anywhere really, just off the internet or a magazine or something, and literally just copy the mask. I did a really simple version, and I just did 3 little spikes on either side for the owl's feathers sticking out. It really doesn't need to be too exact or precise. The children at the birthday party are going to know it's Owlette. You can even off the edges and neaten them up later on. So here we are. Now I need to do a hole in the red mask so that you can see a little bit of her face from underneath. So I kind of put it on top to just see what kind of shape I needed. Cut that out, and now I'm pushing the nose section of fondant icing up to make it look quite realistic and to give it that nose shape underneath, and then just push in the pale flesh colour face, I guess, underneath the mask just to check that it all works properly together. Now you'll see this extra red piece here. I guess it's just part of her head, but I'm just checking the position of everything here, marking it out, just making sure it all fits nicely together before I then go ahead and stick it onto the cake. I'm using a black edible pen here just to mark out over the top of the eyeball area, so that I know later on when I do stick it all down onto the cake exactly where the eyes should be positioned. I also realised that the mouth, as it was just with an indent, wasn't really visible enough or obvious, so I went over that with the black pen just to make the mouth really stand out. And you can see I'm just marking out the other eye so that there's no doubt as to where the eyes should be positioned. They don't go exactly straight, they kind of stick up a little bit like a cat's eyes in the corners. So again, right, on the top of your cake, put that red section, which is the top part of the head, on first, then lay on the mask shape, then push up the nose piece, and then the face section underneath the little hole. On the pictures of Owlette that I've seen, her nose is kind of half visible, so just half of it should go into the mask. Now it doesn't matter here if the edges aren't completely neat or if there's a bit of icing sugar left on them still or whatever. You can even those out later just with water or just like smoothing it down with your hand, which tends to get rid of it because of the heat, the warmth from your hands. This day was actually July, so this is filmed July 2018. It was a really hot day, so the fondant's really warm and easy to mould. So again, just stick on that pale pink edging on the mask that we made earlier, more edible glue, and because you had the black lines on the mask, it's really easy to see exactly where Owlette's eyes should be. So just make sure everything's stuck down nicely. Now I am rolling out some black to create, they're not really eyelashes, they're just the top edges of Owlette's eyes. Slightly wider at one end and thinner at the other. The wider end is going on the outside corner of her eye, thinner on the inside, a bit like Owlette's got black eyeliner. But again, this just finishes it off nicely, really makes the eyes pop, looks a lot better than just having the black pen. Smooth it down into the inside corner of the eye to a point. Right, here we go. Now we're sticking on the feathers. This was by far the hardest section of this cake. I made many more feathers from icing than I actually needed because some of them snapped, broke, cracked, whatever. The hardest ones were at the top corner because they're actually sticking out, so there's not really a lot of cake to stick them to. But I did one row of that, one row underneath, which were flat against the side of the cake, which were much easier to stick on. So I really hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Please do click subscribe below if you are not already a subscriber. Please like the video, leave me a note in the comments, what did you think of this video, and leave me some ideas of other children's birthday cake tutorials that you want me to do next. I upload new videos every single Thursday on kids, cakes and crafts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.